Alright, we were on page 2 now. I want to show you something. This formula up here does have a b, right? But this b now represents a base. So when they tell us about the transformations, instead of having a, b, h, and k, it's really going to have a, h, and k. So we only have 3 transformations to worry about. A does the same thing, right? It is a vertical stretch if A is greater than 1, right? Vertical compression if A is between 1 and 0, right? And if A is negative, reflect over X, okay? Now remember, everything in here affects your X, A affects your Y. And specifically, right, effects on the coordinate, you multiply A by your Y value. Alright? Let's do H. Right? H is in there, has the same thing, right? You translate left or right. Right? And since it's in there with the input, right, it affects on the X, and specifically, right, it's X plus H. Everything in here gets affected, and H is added to your X value when I'm dealing with coordinate pairs. I'll show you down here when we do our reference points. K out here, so translate. I think you guys have seen this so much. Translate up or down. Alright. It's outside, so it affects our Y value, right? And it's Y plus K. So what we've just said is A and K affect the Y. We've said that before. H affects your X. Alright. Now, think about it. Your asymptote, if I can show you really quick. Alright, we're talking about this asymptote right here. What's going to change your asymptote? Can't stretch it left and right. It already goes to infinity both directions, but it can be slid up and down. So what affects your asymptote is your K. So your asymptote is always Y, that's a horizontal line, equals K. Kind of easy so far, right? And then here's how our reference points change. You ready? There's 2 reference points. One is always 0, 1. But here's how 0, 1 changes. Ready? So it changes into, well, let's think about it. The first value is the X value. And the only thing up here changing the X is the H. So 0 plus H is H. Alright. Now we have 2 values. We have both the Y and the K affecting our Y value of 1. So we multiply it, right? I'm sorry, the A and the K. We multiply it by A. 1 times A is A. And then we add our K. So 0, 1 is going to change to H and then A plus K. 1B, same concept. Alright, so let's do it. Alright. 1 right there is the X value. Alright. Since 1's the X value, the only thing that's going to affect it is H. So it's going to be 1 plus H. Right? B is the Y value, so it's going to be multiplied by A. So A times B, and then we're going to add K. And that's how those guys change. So let's go ahead and do one of these. Alright, we'll do a couple down here. We'll hit this page. We'll pick on the next page. Oh, very similar. Alright. So, for each transformation, identify the parent function and tell what transformations have been affected. Alright, so, my parent function. Oh, this thing wants to turn on me. Hold on a minute. Flick this a little bit and get it set up. Alright. So my parent function has a base of 10. So I'm going to write parent. Let's go ahead and use f of x. F of x equals my base of 10 to the x power. There's my parent function. So what has happened to that? Well, we can see our a value is negative 3, right? So that is reflect over x, right? And vertical stretch, we'll say VS, vertical stretch, factor of 3. That's what the A did. Looks like my H value is 3, so it also goes, we'll say H equals 3, which means 3 left. K is 1, K equals 1, which is 1 up. I think you've seen this before, right? So let's go ahead and take some points. Let's move our reference points. So we had a reference point which is 0, 1. Alright. It used to be right here. Let's see where it moves. Alright, 0, 1. Right? So that, you know what we should start off with? Let's start off with our asymptote. And I'll write that. Asymptote. That's always y equals k. So our asymptote is at y equals 1 because the k value is 1. And I'm just going to draw a dotted line right there. That's the line we're going to approach in one direction and away from in the other. Alright. So we'll do 0, 1. Alright. 0, 1. Normally I'd be right there. That's our x value. Right. So to that we add h. So that is now a 3. Alright. And we got our 1. We multiply that by a. So that's 1 times negative 3, and to that we add k plus 1, and that gives me negative 2. So I have a point at 3, negative 2. Let's go ahead and put it. 1, 2, 3, negative 2. Alright. So we also had another point, right? We had 1b, right? This used to have a point at 110, which makes sense. If I put 1 in there, 10 comes out. Alright. I can actually say that, right? That's really 110, right? That's my b value. So let's again think what happens. I'll draw the whole translation here. That 1, right? That's your x value, so you add h. So that's 1 plus 3. I added my h. And I've got my 10, which I multiply by a, negative 30, right? And then I add k plus 1, and I've got this. I've got a new point of 4, negative 30 plus 1, negative 29. So we can see this thing shoots down like crazy here, right? And then it's going to come up and hug that. Let's go ahead and plug in 0 into our equation, right? What if I plug in a 0 here? See what happens. 0 minus 3 is negative 3, negative 1,000th, right? And that's negative 3. It's still tiny. Negative 3,000ths plus 1. It's really going to be super close to 1 already by the time we get there. Something like that. Actually, probably even sharper. And we're going to get a graph that looks like that without this little squiggle I got there. Alright, let's try one more. Alright. Again, basically we're just moving those 2 points. We're moving this point, plotting it, and see what happens. So, parent graph of this guy. Alright. Parent graph is y equals, what's my base? Looks like my base is still 10 to the x. Alright. So we got a is 1.5. A is 1.5. That's a vertical stretch of 1.5. We got h equals 3. Right? That's 3 to the right. Alright. Oh, I wrote left, right. We got k equals negative 5, which is 5 down. We know that 5 down is going to be our asymptote. So I'm going to say asymptote is y equals negative 5, which is really hard to see on here. It looks, they go by 2 here. So we're going to have something right here. Let's plot our 2 points and see where they go. Alright. So we got our 0, 1. Once again, all I do to that x value right there is add my h. So that's going to turn into 3. This one gets multiplied by a for 1.5. And then I subtract k. So 1.5 minus 5 is negative 3.5. Alright, so I got 3 right about here. And negative 3.5 right about here. Alright. And let's go ahead and do 1b. So 1b. So what's b? 10. So once again, I take that 1 and I just add h, so that's 4. And something's going to happen really fast here. Alright. 10 times a is 15. Minus 5 is 10. Alright. I'll even write that out, right? So my 10 got multiplied by a, 1.5, and then I added k minus 5, which gives me 10. So at 4, I'm already up here at 10. We can see that trend's going to continue. And then I'm going to hug this asymptote. And there it is. Alright. Let's see if we can hit one more. Let's do one of these over here. And I'll leave the other one for you guys. Alright. So, right here. Alright. So, A equals 4, which will just say vertical stretch of factor of 4. Right? We'll say H equals -2, which is 2 left. K equals -6, which is 6 down. And remember, that gives us our horizontal asymptote. So our asymptote is y equals -6. So let's draw that in, dotted line right here. Find our two numbers. So we had 0, 1. 0, 1. Remember, that's our x value. Our x value just gets added to h, so that turns into a -2. This one is multiplied by a, so 1 times 4, we'll write it 1 times 4, and then added to k, so -6 is -2. So I got to point at -2, -2. And now we're going to do 1b. 1, what's b? 2. There we go. So once again, I just add h to this, which gives me -1. And to that 2, I multiply by a, so that's 8, and I subtract k, or I add k, but it's a -6. 1, -2. Alright, so so it looks like I have 1. Well, I must have done something wrong there. Let's see what I did wrong. Oh, subtract 6, that's -2. Maybe I did it wrong up here. So I multiply by a, which is 4, -6 is -2. You know what I did? I didn't multiply. So 2 times 4 is 8 minus 6, which is a +2. So let's plot those points. I've got -1, +2. Looks like it shoots up in that direction. And it comes down here and hugs this asymptote. I'm going to leave this for you. I could very well just check that tomorrow. We will see. But I'm going to underline that and end this, and we'll keep going pretty soon. Hey, we're closing in. I think we're almost done.